Dimitri, I am waiting for you inside the guts of this whore.
Beyond the Door is a 1974 Italian film about this woman, Jessica, who gets impregnated by the devil. Look at her here, all confident and happy. She's a terrible person. Everyone in this movie are terrible people. Her husband Robert is a music producer. He thinks he's like the god of jazz simply because he can shout at black musicians.
Sounds like a jerk-off session in the bathroom.
If you could play your instruments as well as you play with your tools, it might sound a bit better.
Yeah, baby. But I never had to play a 36-bar solo on my tool.
F this guy. Their kids are the absolute worst though. Gail and Ken. Gail is constantly reading the novel Love Story. In fact, she has 12 copies of this novel, and she has to carry all of them around with her wherever she goes.
He picks them up from Gail, who gets them from that ridiculous book.
Why does she always carry 12 copies around with her? Does that seem normal to you?
Why? I don't know. And of course this little girl talks about sex an uncomfortable amount of time.
When Dad starts trying to get all sexy and with it, that's a real bad scene.
The parents say it's because she keeps reading that Love Story book and leave it at that. Terrible parents. Ken is a foul-mouthed little toddler who calls his parents assholes.
Hey, remember that crazy nickname you gave him? What was it?
Asshole.
He spends much of this movie just drinking Campbell's pea soup from a can with a straw.
I'm just Ken. Anywhere else I'd be 10. Is it my destiny to live and die a life of blonde fragility?
Kid's obsessed with this soup. Has pictures of Campbell's soup cans in the nursery even. I'm gonna keep on these kids for a bit because there's one thing that really bugs the hell out of me. At the very end of the movie, Gail finishes reading Love Story for the millionth time and puts the book down. She then gives this ridiculous looking wink at some other kid in a rainbow shirt. What is that? Is that flirting? I don't know because kids don't flirt. I don't just mean they shouldn't, I mean they don't. It's just not something kids do, so I don't know what the hell this is. This is a movie about a woman who gets knocked up by the devil, and the most unsettling thing in this movie is this thirsty kid at the end. The movie starts with Satan introducing himself and then pretty much monologuing the lyrics to Sympathy for the Devil.
I play an extremely important part in the proceedings. In fact, without me, there really wouldn't be any story at all. Of course, you won't actually see me. Unfortunately, in recent centuries, that has gone out of fashion. Although there was a time when I was always being painted or impersonated in one way or another. And as you know, I've always been given the best lines.
He's impregnated Jessica here, though it's never really said how. I mean, nobody else is aware of this except for Satan and his lackey Dimitri. He sends Dimitri out to rip the baby from her womb, and gives him some kind of immortality by throwing his car off of a cliff. Sure, whatever. Anyway, there's this scene where Jessica tells her husband that she's pregnant, and you can tell that none of them want this kid. Robert over here looks like he's having a heart attack. The thought of having another child just makes him ill. To get out of this room and look at fish, and read books about fish. But can you blame these parents for feeling that way? Because the whole time they're having this conversation, you have these two brats being loud and terrible. They're supposed to be making a cake for Ken's birthday, but they're just making a mess. And Gail is shouting about poisoning everybody.
Pinch of arsenic?
I really can't imagine how we'd manage without
Poison
you.
banana?
The moment you set foot in the apartment.
Bitch. As her Satan pregnancy progresses, Jessica starts getting some fierce mood swings. At one point, she even goes off and smacks her kids.
Shut up!
And it's wonderful.
Shut up!
I could watch this again.
Shut up!
And again.
Shut up!
And again.
Shut up!
Oh, by the way, Satan's just been hanging around their apartment lately. I don't know if it's the big guy himself or one of his demons. We never see them. We just see them do this paranormal activity stuff. Spooky, sure, but ultimately pointless. If you're so evil and powerful, why don't you just kill these kids? I suppose the Dark Lord thinks they would make wonderful little imps. These terrible children really would have a swell time in hell. The thing about Beyond the Door is that while it is about a woman that is impregnated by Satan, it's not a ripoff of Rosemary's Baby. It's more accurately a ripoff of The Exorcist, because we get Jessica fully possessed now. She's strapped to a bed, she's vomiting up the green stuff, her head is spinning around, she's telling her OBGYN that his mother sucks cocks in hell. Richard can't cope and spends more and more time away. He wanders the streets of San Francisco, being persistently mobbed by a gang of street performers.
Look for him. Find him in the darkness. Maybe he can help you.
The music ain't bad, but this scene is pointless. We have a demon-possessed woman up in the apartment, and we're just wandering around here with street performers. Eventually, Dimitri comes around and tells Robert that Jessica has to have this baby, and Robert's like, sure, whatever, man, you do you. He lets Dimitri go in and have this chat with Satan. They kinda duke it out, and that's that. Jessica isn't possessed anymore, the family takes this boat excursion, this happens. That's pretty much it. Beyond the Door isn't a bad movie, and it was certainly popular. There's 2 sequels that aren't actually sequels at all. Mario Bava's film Shock was retitled Beyond the Door 2, then in 1989 there's this Beyond the Door 3 that I haven't seen, but given this bit of description here, I think I want to. Beverly, however, manages to have sex with an 11th century monk named Marius, who is also riding the train, making her unfit as Satan's bride? This sounds amazing! As far as Italian horror goes, Beyond the Door is adequate. Effects are good, makeup's good, Satan doing the paranormal activity thing is kinda fun. There's certainly better Italian horror films out there, even other ones with notoriously awful children. But Beyond the Door is worth seeing at least once. The music throughout is pretty fun and carries the movie. And of course, these damn kids.
When Dad starts trying to get all sexy and with it, that's a real bad scene.